back into some of the big headlines that we are covering here as President Trump's administration is preparing 1,500 troops for potential deployment over to Minnesota amid the protests and unrest following this month's shooting death of Renee Good by an ICE officer there in Minneapolis. A senior U.S. official confirming the information to Fox News Digital, saying the U.S. Army's 11th Airborne Division, based in Alaska, has been given orders to prepare for deployment. That division, by the way, specializes in cold weather and mountain warfare. The Washington Post first to report all of this. President Trump threatened just days ago to invoke the Insurrection Act, allowing for the deployment of U.S. military forces to Minnesota if state officials do not crack down on the anti-ICE agitators. There is a lot to discuss, as always, on this topic, so I do want to bring in a friend of the show right here. We do have Jeff Wenninger, retired LAPD lieutenant.
I'm going to pause right here real quick and just say this, right? Whenever they have to bring in the military, I'm sorry, the state officials just aren't doing something right. You're not doing something right, right? They don't play any games. They don't. They will blow you to smithereens. Now, let's hope nothing bad happens as they're preparing to send these troops into Minneapolis. But as a governor, a mayor, why would you allow this type of protest to even carry on in your city? Why would you allow people to vandalize innocent homes, cars, and businesses? Why? Why does it take the president of the United States to step in and ultimately send our military forces, which are supposed to be used for non-domestic situations, just to get these rioters in order, right? Time and time again, we've seen it from the NWA era, rightfully so, but in that era, but there has to be a way for us to protest, get our message across that does not require vandalizing innocent people's property. And I'll go on a stretch. Half of the people that's rioting, when there's a riot, this is going to get real. Hate to say it. This is going to get real messy. But I have to take it back to George Floyd, right? When that riot transpired, people were breaking into businesses, stealing cars, stealing merchandise. Just half of them, if not a little bit less than half, wasn't even really rioting for the right things. I would just say that. And they took advantage of an opportunity to commit crimes. 100%, absolutely. So curious to see, man, what's going to happen over the next couple of days. I know a lot of people been back and forth about the ICE thing. Was he justified in shooting her? He probably could have did some more steps to avoid that shooting and ultimately killing her. But then at the same time, you have other people that don't even want ICE in the United States of America at all. They believe that people should be able to cross over illegally, undocumented, steal your jobs, steal shelter, and ultimately use taxpayers' dollars to help fund their survival in the United States of America.
Law enforcement expert, founder, and CEO of Law Enforcement Consultants. Now, he's also the author of On Thin Ice, an LAPD veteran's journey to reimagine policing. Thank you so much for taking the time, Jeff, to be here with us today.
No, thank you very much.
Of course. And first off, I did kind of want to ask you about the Insurrection Act itself and how that could potentially be invoked in this case specifically. What authority does President Trump or any president have to do that?
Well, I think before we begin to speak about the Insurrection Act, it's important that we understand what the premise in the United States generally is under normal circumstances. And it's under the Patsy Comitatus Act, wherein it is prohibited that we use military personnel for any type of activity in regards to domestic law enforcement enforcement activity. Now, there is an exception to that, where President Trump has nearly a unfiltered ability and authority to implement a circumstance where he would deploy military resources into this type of a circumstance. But it's very narrowly defined. And there's 3 circumstances where that would be appropriate. And it's appropriate if you have significant civil disturbance, you have an insurrection or rebellion. And now it doesn't mean that these can't go unchallenged. They can be challenged in court. In this circumstance, I'm certain that the state officials in Minnesota would be filing suit in court to determine the appropriate.
Look at that.
You could also
look at that. And that's exactly what I mean. He threw something at the ICE cop car. What? Vandalizing ICE vehicles, vandalizing police vehicles, vandalizing ultimately things that you are technically still paying for with your tax dollars. What is that going to do? Please, I know I'm about to get a lot of hate in the comments for this video, but explain to me, what is that going to do? If one person, no, 5 people in the comments can explain to me what this actually vandalizing property is going to do, then, I might take a deeper consideration or thought into it. And actually, I just lied, because I will never advocate for the destruction of property. That's just me. I just wouldn't. I can't even tell if this is a woman or this is a man, but they have nothing better to do on a random weekday than to stand outside, which seems to be headquarters for ICE or some type of police department that they're working out of, and to just wait to harass federal officers at that. You're willing to put your freedom on the line for people that have came into this country illegally is insane to me. To me. Now, this particular case, she could be upset about the shooting, but there are other people that actually will do this out in different cities, in different states, and put their freedom on the line for people that ultimately, if you don't know, because I have some amigos, really don't. Not all. Most of them don't really care about us. Let's keep going.
Necessarily being filed. And really what they would be looking at is, do we really have the circumstances where the criteria of one of those 3 instances that I stated just a moment ago are actually met? Or is it being done in bad faith and it's objectively baseless? So essentially that's where we stand in regards to this, the decision to deploy the military under the Insurrection Act.
And what you're looking at is some of the video that we did receive from, this was a little more than a week ago. It was at the hotels where those ICE agents were believed to be staying. Of course,
absolutely insane.
There, but the protesters, we're talking dozens of them, showed up at several different hotels in basically trying to find those different folks who were staying there. Now, Jeff,
find them and do what? Because all it's going to take is just for one of these federal agents to blast y'all face off again, and then now is World War III. You cannot provoke more violence. You can't. It's just like getting pulled over. My mom and dad always told me, can't fight the cop on the side of the road. It is as unfair it may seem in certain situations, you can't fight a cop on the side of the road. That is what court is for. You got to follow the procedures and guidelines the way it is written. And if you don't like it, you can get a residency in Europe. In one of those countries, you can get residency in South America. Go to where the rules are applicable to your particular lifestyle. Y'all let me know what y'all think in the comments, man. I love you. Appreciate you guys. Continue to rock with me. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.